Number 10. Mark Wahlberg. In 2013, a series of leaked court documents suggested that Tom Cruise had compared working on a film to being as intense as fighting in Afghanistan. It's safe to say that this statement did not go down well with Mark Wahlberg. Later down the line, while he was promoting his film Lone Survivor, which was based on actual events of the failed 2005 mission Operation Red Wings, where Mark played the role of a Navy SEAL. When asked about the difficulty of shooting the film, he went on an angry rant. Quote, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the floor. I don't give an F what you did. You don't do what these guys did. For somebody to sit there and say, my job was as difficult as somebody in the military's, how effing dare you, while you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours." He added that at the end of the day, actors get to go home, go to their hotel room and order effing chicken. Tom's lawyers then jumped in very quickly and claimed that the actor was only joking, and in fact is a staunch supporter of the troops. But the tension was very clearly real. Number 9. Thandie Newton. When speaking with Vulture, Newton revealed exactly why working with Tom Cruise on the 2000 film Mission Impossible was a total nightmare. When asked why she never filmed another movie in the franchise, the actress said, "Oh, I was never asked. I was so scared of Tom. He was a very dominant individual. He tries super hard to be a nice person." She described him as really stressed and dominant, recounting an incident on set in which she and Cruise attempted to finish a night scene on the balcony. Quote, "I don't think it was a very well written scene. I get angry with him, we're frustrated at each other, and Tom made a decision at the very beginning of the movie, unbeknownst certainly to me, that he didn't speak English, which I think was very helpful to him, but it was extremely unhelpful to the rest of us." Thandie went on to say that Tom got so frustrated with her performance that it just pushed her further into a place of terror and insecurity. But despite everything, Thandie insisted that she doesn't think poorly of Tom as a person. Quote, "He wasn't horrible, it was just that he was really stressed. But the pressure, he takes on a lot. I think he has this sense that only he can do everything as best as it can be done." Number 8. Brooke Shields. Telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to make yourself extremely unpopular among the female demographic, but telling them how to give birth is a different kind of insult entirely. Just ask Brooke Shields after she had to deal with public shaming from Tom Cruise, who went on the record criticizing her decision to use antidepressants to help her with postpartum depression. Quote, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There is nothing that can cure them whatsoever." And if that wasn't condescending enough for you, he added, "I care about Brooke Shields because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look at where her career has gone." But Brooke was not having it and took the opportunity to stand up for herself and new mothers everywhere. She said, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." Adding that, "I'm going to take a wild guess and say that Mr. Cruise has never suffered from postpartum depression." She called his comments a disservice to mothers everywhere and said that if any good can come of Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rants, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease. Number 7. Brad Pitt. Although the two A-list actors have a lot in common, especially when it comes to their careers, they allegedly couldn't be more at odds with each other. In fact, rumors have it that they have been feuding for 25 years, and it all started with one movie, 1994's Interview with a Vampire. The hit horror film where both actors had starring roles really ignited their resentment for one another. And even though the film was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe upon its release, Brad said that he was miserable on set and that Tom being there certainly didn't help. And when asked about his co-star in an interview, Brad did not bother to hold back his feelings at all. Quote, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming when I started really resenting him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always coming at you with a handshake whereas I may bump into you. There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation." Fast forward to 2009, when both actors were starring in World War II dramas, Brad in Inglourious Basterds and Tom in Valkyrie. Not only was Brad's film way better received, but to add insult to injury, he reportedly called Tom's film a ridiculous movie. Number 6. Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. But at the time of meeting, he was still married to Mimi Rogers. Tom eventually divorced his first wife in February February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting up a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "I was so young when I got married. I look back now and I'm like, what?" She told Red Magazine that she felt isolated during her marriage, and even when she won an Oscar, she described it as, "I was holding a gold statue and I was the loneliest I'd ever been." The divorce took Nicole by surprise, and it got very messy very quickly with the custody battle. In the end, Tom allegedly turned her children against her, as he was granted full custody of their kids, and ended up raising both of them to be Scientologists. But despite all the heartbreak, nothing beats that iconic photo of Nicole leaving her attorney's office, jumping for joy after their divorce was finalized. Number 5. Alec Baldwin. Another celebrity who has had no trouble calling out Tom Cruise was fellow actor Alec Baldwin in 2009. The Dirty Rock star hosted Elle Magazine's Women in Hollywood dinner and award show, and what he said had even Tom's wife at the time, Katie Holmes, laughing along with everyone. The actor joked about coming up with a solution to the disproportionate salaries between men and women in Hollywood, and then seemingly came up with an idea to solve the pay gap. Quote, "I believe we can balance the scales if Tom Cruise would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be a little bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put all of this on one man, but if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise." He went on to assure the audience that his own salary was nothing compared to Tom's. In fact, his annual salary, as he said, is the budget from mints that were featured in one of his movies. But as the saying goes, there really is a grain of truth in every joke. According to Variety, the actor is expected to earn $100 million or more from his new movie Top Gun Maverick, which would be one of the biggest paydays for an actor for a single movie ever. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker, much to the disdain of Tom Cruise. In her book, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion, when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities including Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek and pressured everyone to join in. Remini also explained another bizarre incident when Tom had a meltdown over cookies. Quote, "Once he wanted to make cookies, and there was a package of pre-packaged cookie dough on the counter. He asked, 'Guys, where's the cookie stuff?' Tom seemed like a child who had never been told no, and he screamed at his assistant." And when Top Gun Maverick came out, Remini cautioned fans about supporting him, saying, "Don't let the movie star charm fool you. And no, I will not watch the movie, nor will I ever support or approve of this scam of a man." So she's clearly not one to forgive or forget. Number 3. Katie Holmes. Back in 2012, the former Hollywood power couple Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes announced to the world that they were getting a divorce after 6 years of marriage. News of the A-list split sent shockwaves through the world of show business and sparked waves of rumors and speculation as to why the pair decided to call it quits. After a whirlwind romance, the couple got married in a luxurious Italian wedding ceremony and welcomed their first child together, Suri Cruz. So their divorce came as a shock to everyone. The major reason was allegedly Katie's aversion to raising their daughter in Scientology. Tom basically confirmed this during a 2013 deposition, admitting that this was one of the reasons that his ex-wife filed for divorce. He also revealed that his daughter, Suri, who was just 7 years old at the time, was no longer a practicing member of the Church of Scientology. This was a pretty surprising admission, considering that those who leave the religion are often cut off from other practicing members, which is probably why Katie won sole custody of Suri, which reportedly included ironclad rulings that she would not be exposed to anything Scientology related. And to this day, it appears as though the former couple aren't exactly on good terms, as Tom reportedly hasn't even seen his daughter in years. Number 2. Mickey Rourke. In a new interview with Piers Morgan Uncensored, the boxer turned actor was asked about Tom Cruise, and he made it quite clear that he wasn't a fan at all. It was mentioned that his new movie, Top Gun Maverick, made over $1 billion at the box office, and Rourke said, "That doesn't mean jack to me. This guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years. I got no respect for that." Rourke went on to list some of the actors whose careers he does enjoy and admire, unlike Tom's. And when Morgan asked whether or not he thinks of Cruise as a good actor, Rourke just said, "I think he's irrelevant in my world." And back in 2005, when Tom criticized Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants, Mickey spoke out against him then. Quote, "My therapist saved my effing life and my career. I don't care what Tom Cruise says about therapy. F him." Picking on poor Brooke Shields. People need medicine and they need therapists. Let the Scientologists go effing live on a planet of their own. He was referring to the fact that Scientologists strictly oppose psychiatry and therapy as it goes against their core beliefs. So he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't think very highly of the Hollywood star. And coming in at number 1, John Travolta. Both are active, high-ranking members of the Church of Scientology, but it has been since revealed that the two are not exactly friends. The truth came out when a former bodyguard from the church, Brendan Teague, revealed in 2018 that John Travolta was furious when Tom achieved the highest honor in the organization in 2008. He was awarded the Freedom Medal of Valor from the leader of the organization, David Miscavige. This award is only given to its most dedicated member. John was also said to be frustrated over the fact that Tom has become a major player in the church, and to this day is one of the best known members in the world. Brendan Teague claimed that this event left Travolta feeling extremely jealous. Eventually he grew so angry that he decided to express himself and wrote a scathing letter to Miscavige, which reportedly included the question, "What the hell was this medal all about?" The reason being is that the actor believed himself to be the most dedicated member of the church, and had allegedly introduced more members than any other celebrity. So when he was passed over for the award, John began to despise Tom. It didn't help that only 2 years earlier, John wasn't invited to Tom's wedding with Katie Holmes, so their relationship was already rocky to begin with.
Coming at number 10 today, we have Judd Apatow. Just a month after Jared Carmichael used the Golden Globe stage to mock Tom Cruise for his involvement in the Church of Scientology, Judd got in a few similar jabs while emceeing the Directors Guild of America Awards on February 18th. Judd's jokes began with the topic of Tom's height when he said the special effects in Maverick were so top-notch, I couldn't even see the stack of phone books Tom Cruise sat on to reach the flight controls. Things then took a quick turn when Judd called Tom Cruise a lunatic while reforming to Tom's infamous jumping on the couch segment when he sat down for an interview with Oprah. Before he dove into the juiciest part of his speech when he said, "Tom is not fine. Someone needs to explain to him that there's something called CGI. You're 60, calm down." But every time he does one of these few stunts, it does feel like an ad for Scientology. I mean, is that in the Dianetics? Because there's nothing about jumping off a cliff in the Torah. Judd still wasn't done roasting Tom as he ended his roast with suggesting that Tom wouldn't be jumping off cliffs if he just took antidepressants. Number 9, Brad Pitt. It's not really breaking news when I say Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise aren't exactly fond of each other, as they have been in a very public feud that has been going on for the last 27 years. The two actors who shared the screen in the 1994 film Interview with a Vampire, their differences became evident when Brad said in an interview, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming where I started to really resent him. He's North Pole, I'm South." And if you thought things couldn't get any worse, then Brad even had some harsh words to say about Tom's movies, as in 2009 when both actors starred in World War II dramas. While Brad's film did very well in the box office, Tom couldn't quite achieve the same feature. Brad didn't also shy away from celebrating his arch rival's bitter failure by calling Tom's film a ridiculous movie. So it seems like from the looks of it that it wouldn't really be a stretch to say that the two actors are highly unlikely to be a part of the same project in the future, especially since Brad has this list and Tom Cruise Cruise is on his B list, which compiles of a bunch of actors he'll never work with. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's feud with Tom Cruise is actually really confusing, as it seems like the feud is somewhat one-sided. Back in 2019, Justin would take to his Twitter to challenge Tom to a physical battle after he declared that he wanted to challenge Tom Cruise fight in the octagon. When he said, "Tom, if you don't take this fight, you're scared and you will never live it down. Who's willing to put on the fight?" And if that wasn't bizarre enough, Justin then posted a video of him kicking the cap off of a bottle, saying this could be Tom Cruise's head. While the world was trying to figure out this confusing post, we all then decided to start an investigation into what caused Justin's aggression towards Tom. But whether it was due to religion, personal reasons, or just a grab for attention, it was clear that Justin really wasn't fond of Tom Cruise. And even after he told TMZ he was just playing when it came to his initial tweet, it really makes you wonder if he really was, or does he actually want to challenge Tom in the ring. Number 7, Katie Holmes. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes once made headline after headline for being one of Hollywood's most gorgeous and talked about couples. Their relationship had it all, and at one point, they even had a dramatic public declaration of love. And they even showed the world that they just couldn't keep their hands off each other when it came to the red carpet. However, too many fans and media houses were disappointed that the duo filed for divorce just 6 years after being married. While the real reason behind their split is nothing but speculation, it is believed that Tom's horrible treatment of his ex-wife and even their daughter and his involvement with the Church of Scientology is what pushed Katie to get out of the marriage. This claim can even be cemented by reports that claim Tom even tried to impose bizarre rules on Katie, like how she shouldn't be allowed to date another man publicly for 5 years so it wouldn't embarrass him. Given such a hostile and messy end to a long-term relationship, it is a no-brainer that these two stars won't be appearing together on the screen, not now and perhaps not ever. Number 6, John Travolta. John Travolta and Tom Cruise seem to have a lot in common, and it's not just their field of work, as they are both strong believers when it comes to their participation in the Church of Scientology. However, this common link has become the cause of a bitter rift between the two actors, as inside sources believe that John is immensely jealous of Tom's position within the Church of Scientology, and at the fact that Tom is also one of very few members of the religion who has access to David Miscavige. When it comes access to the chief of Scientology, David. Brendan Ty, a former member of the church, once even told the New Idea that Tom was the only celebrity that had a direct link to David, and that it wasn't really a secret that Tom and John despised each other. For an industry that's well known for rivalries to stem from jealousy over snub movie roles and scandalous affairs, Tom and John's feud is definitely an interesting addition. With their strong dislike for each other making headlines, it's easy to guess that these two Scientologists would likely keep as far away from each other as possible. Number 5, Mark Wahlberg. Over the years, Mark Wahlberg has been pretty open when it comes to his dislike towards Tom Cruise. So back in 2013, Mark first let his feelings known about Tom after Tom offended Mark to a T. According to reports from that year, Tom claimed that the work he was doing in a new movie at the time was as tough as fighting in Afghanistan. Mark would then come for the controversial actor when he responded to Tom's response by saying, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the, I don't give a F what you did. You don't do what these guys did." He even went on to make things clear that he was referring to fellow actor Tom Cruise. While both stars have never worked together in the past before, it's clear to say after this public showdown, they most likely will not be working in the same room together anytime soon. Number 4, Russell Crowe. Loyalty is everything to some people, even to celebrities. Unfortunately for Tom Cruise, this means that many fellow actors despise him for the way he treated his ex-wives. When Tom filmed the 2018 reboot of The Mummy with Russell Crowe, rumors began to swirl that Russell couldn't deal with his co-star, and that he didn't want to because of what went down with Tom and Nicole Kidman. A source then revealed to the Daily Mail that Russell wasn't the biggest fan when it comes to Cruise after they told the media outlet Russell is a loyal guy and never forgave Tom for the way he treated Nicole. If they stayed friends, he would have felt like he was betraying Nicole, so he froze Tom out of his life completely. As it turns out, Nicole and Russell go way back, so it only seems like he felt obligated to maintain a sense of loyalty towards Nicole. Number 3, Nicole Kidman. So believe it or not, but Katie Holmes wasn't Tom Cruise's first marriage that ended in divorce. As before there was Katie, Tom was actually married to Nicole Kidman for 11 years. Well, that's quite a long time to be married. Nicole has said that it might not have been the best decision for her to make, as at the time she told Daily Mail, "I was so young when I got married. I look back at it and I'm like, what?" Nicole also went on to reveal that she felt pretty lonely during her marriage, and after she ended up winning an Oscar, she had this epiphany. She then went on to tell the outlet that it isn't the answer. "I was holding a gold statue and I was the lowest I've ever been." While the star doesn't hate Tom, Nicole would also note that she never saw their divorce coming. Later in an interview with Du Jour magazine, she also took the time to say, "It took me a very long time to heal. It was a shock to myself. It was a shock to my system." Since Nicole hasn't really said much about her relationship with Tom, it wouldn't really be shocking to know that she just couldn't stand him, as he truly broke her heart. Number 2, Alec Baldwin. So the thing with Tom Cruise is that even when he isn't trying, he still has a tendency to get on people's bad side. He also doesn't even have to be in the same room as someone to annoy them, to the point that they never want to be in the same room as him ever again. For instance, Alec Baldwin has made his feelings clear when it comes to Tom, and they aren't all great. At the 2009 Elle magazine annual Woman in Hollywood dinner, Alec gave a speech about equal pay in Hollywood, and he even cracked a joke about Tom's insane paychecks when he said, "I believe we can balance the scales if Tom would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be a bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put this all on one man. But if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise. I assure you my salary would not make a difference. My annual salary is the budget of Altoids on one of Tom's movies." With Alec not really being impressed with how much money Tom is being paid, but considering that Tom also threw Alec's daughter a safety net in Scientology, it's clear that these actors will probably never work together. And coming in number 1 today, we have Brooke Shields. Tom is known to never shy away from making a statement, and he certainly didn't shy away when he told Access Hollywood in 2005 that Brooke Shields' use of antidepressants was irresponsible. At the time, Brooke was battling with postpartum depression, and Tom, who was a well-known Scientologist, was brainwashed to think that mind-altering medications, including antidepressants, aren't only damaging to the body, but the controversial church has also made him believe that these type of medications can decrease his awareness and hinder his abilities. While he did make a quick mention to say that Brooke was an incredible actress, that wouldn't save him from receiving backlash from his fans, media, and Brooke herself, as Brooke would respond to Tom's comments by saying, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." The duo previously worked together on the 1981 romance drama Endless Love, but it seems like this would be their first and last film together, thanks to their strong disapproval of each other. So starting off our list today at number 10, we have Will Smith. So for a while now, Will Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith have been denying the fact that they are members of the Church of Scientology. However, if this was the case, then why did they operate one of the church's private schools for their children in their home? As in the report published by Daily Beast, they would confirm that the Leadership Academy that was taking place in one of the couple's homes was essentially a Scientology school, and the teachers the couple had working in the school were followers of the religion where Scientology was studied among the classes. So the teachers at the school were constantly told to talk about building materials into the curriculum that were related to Scientology. And there were even parents who removed their children from the school after they realized that the curriculum revolved around Scientology's practices. While Will Smith definitely wants to curb his involvement with the church after it's clear his wife forced him into it, he has turned down roles with Tom Cruise, so fans don't get the wrong idea about his involvement when it comes to the church. Number 9, Nicholas Hoult. Back in 2019, director Christopher McQuarrie would return to the Mission Impossible franchise not for his third directorial effort in the series, but his fourth as well. The two films would comprise the final entries in the entire saga, and it would send Cruise's Ethan Hunt Hunt out in a 2-part bang. But did you know Nicholas Hoult was offered a role by Tom Cruise himself after passing a fight choreography test with flying colors, but then he turned down the film, as the production delays created a problem for the star as he already booked other projects that included a Dracula spin-off. So despite the personal invitation from Tom and all the physical prep work, he flat out turned Tom Cruise down. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Jessica Chastain. Imagine being an Oscar-nominated actor signed up for a movie opposite of Tom Cruise, but then you turn the role down last minute to pursue a different role in another project. Well, this is exactly what happened to Jessica Chastain. Now, you might think a superstar like Tom Cruise would be furious to lose an actor who could very well help make his film or break it, or that he was insulted that they wanted to back out of being his co-star. That very scenario played out to be kinda true when Jessica wiggled out of her commitment to the film, Oblivion, so she could star in another movie. She also turned down the star again when she was offered a role in Mission Impossible just a year later, but she opted out of the film due to its ridiculous training that was required for the film's role. But honestly, the way she just last minute backed out of both roles just proves that she just didn't want to work with Tom Cruise. Number 7, Val Kilmer. So Val Kilmer has turned down 2 roles when it comes to starring in a movie with Tom Cruise. The first role would be for the movie Collateral. Well, at first Val was announced to star in the film in an undisclosed role. It would be announced later that he departed from the film because of the shooting schedule when it came into conflict with the film Alexander, which he was already well into filming. Then he would turn down to collaborate with Tom Cruise for a second time when he turned down a role for the film The Outsiders because he was prepping for a run on Broadway in a play titled Slab Boys. And in hindsight, this might have been a wrong move as the play only ran for 6 weeks, and in addition, Kevin Bacon and Sean Penn to cast saw Val being bumped down to a supporting role. Now eventually Val did end up working with Tom when he starred in the film Top Gun, but initially he also turned down that role. He only ended up taking it because Tom Cruise just kept hounding him about the role. Number 6, Bill Murray. Imagine if Ghostbusters star ended up playing Bill Harford in the film's Eyes Wide Shut. Well, it actually almost happened, as Stanley Kubrick's 2020 release book, American Filmmaker, it would reveal that Bill was on the filmmaker's shortlist of casting choices when he was planning the movie in the 1980s before the role went to Tom Cruise in 1999. But that's not the role he turned down to obviously work with Tom Cruise, as just a decade earlier, Bill was actually offered a role opposite of Tom in the 1988 drama Rain Man, with the original script being sent to Bill by Mark Ovitz at CAA. Bill just decided not to read the film mainly because he wasn't interested in the project, as he heard Tom Cruise was involved in it. So the role was given to Dustin Hoffman instead. Bill didn't feel too bad about turning down the role, as he could have won an Academy Award for Best Actor, because after he turned down the chance to star alongside Tom Cruise, he turned his attention to Scrooge, which has become an iconic Christmas classic and one of his most celebrated roles. Number 5, Jason Alexander. Jason Alexander became a household name thanks to his iconic role as a quirky, down on his luck New Yorker in the trailblazing sitcom Seinfeld. But before he was a sitcom star, he was offered a role in the 1992 legal drama A Few Good Men. It all happened in 1990 when director Rob Reiner was assembling his class, and according to actor Kevin Pollak, in an interview with Vanity Fair in 2017, he would state his role was actually intended for Jason in the first place, but he turned down the role for Seinfeld because it got renewed, so Kevin went on to snag the role in the film A Few Good Men and work alongside Tom Cruise. Jason knew better off to stick with the role, but he did curse Kevin for earning 4 Academy Award nominations, and he's still waiting for Kevin to quit a job for him to say thank you. Number 4, Dennis Rodman. So you wouldn't expect basketball star Dennis Rodman being offered a role in a Tom Cruise film, but at the height of his fame when he was playing alongside NBA legend Michael Jordan for the Chicago Bulls, he attempted to make a big-time Hollywood career in the process, where he actually starred in a few major films that included Double Team and Simon Says, but neither of these films brought him the type of fame he was hoping for. But it all could have gone down down a really different path if he didn't turn down an offer to star opposite to Tom Cruise in the 1996 sport comedy Jerry Maguire. In the film, Tom would play a sports agent who starts his own firm, struggling to survive with one of the complicated superstar clients, Rod Tidwell, who was played by Cuba Gooding Jr., but originally this character was supposed to be played by Dennis, and he turned down the role. While it's still unknown to why Dennis really turned down the role, many have thought it was because there might have been some scheduling conflict with his NBA duties, but the role actually allowed Cuba Gooding Jr. to win an Oscar, so maybe Dennis just should have taken the role. Number 3. Ian McKellen. When it comes to Mission Impossible movies, they have always had a great villain with talented actors playing slippery, slimy, international criminals. And for the second film, Tom almost enlisted the services of British actor Ian McKellen, but ultimately the actor decided to turn down Tom's offer by making a statement in an interview with People magazine in July of 2015, where he told the outlet if he agreed to take the role in Tom's film, then he would have missed out on two of his most iconic roles, before he made fun of Tom, saying they wouldn't let him see the script and decided that his scenes were just good enough because the production team was scared Ian might have just leaked the whole script to the media. So he only got the scenes that he was doing for his audition, and it didn't sit so well with him, as he wasn't happy with the thought of agreeing to do a project without seeing the entire story. So he said no, and his agent told him, "You can't say no to working with Tom Cruise," and Ian told his agent, "I think I will." Luckily, Ian made the right choice, as then he was offered a role not only in the X-Men movies, but also in the Lord of the Rings franchise. And if he did take Tom's movie, he would have never been able to do those roles, so it would have been a huge loss for him. Number 2. Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem got his start in Spain after he starred in a number of films throughout the 1990s before making the leap to Hollywood. Eventually, after a small role alongside Tom Cruise in Collateral and a leading part in the drama Goya's Ghost, he then gained notoriety in the film No Country for Old Men. Before Collateral, Javier actually almost starred with Tom Cruise in the 2002 Steven Spielberg directed sci-fi action Minority Report. In fact, during a speech at the Toronto Film Festival in 2017, Spielberg even revealed that Javier was his original choice for the Department of Justice agent Danny Whitwer. But the star was kinda intimidated about making a leading role in such a high-profile role for one of his first American projects, not just because it was difficult for him to jump into a foreign language for his performance at the time, as his English wasn't that good, but he also didn't want to step on Tom Cruise's toes, as the actor is a bit of a hothead from time to time. So that's why the role went to Colin Farrell. Coming in number 1 today, we have Ricky Gervais. For Mission Impossible 3, Tom also served as a producer on the franchise, and he needed the film to go in a fresh direction. After failing to get the project in motion with Joe Carnahan, he turned to TV director J.J. Abrams to direct the next installment. Looking for some new members to cast, Abrams put out an offer to Ricky Gervais. In the beginning, the actor was excited to join the film, but unfortunately, due to repeated delays in the film's production, it proved to be a real problem for Ricky, as he was really committed not only to his own TV series, but also with the Christopher Guest film For Your Consideration. Eventually, Ricky then made the decision to drop this film. While this wouldn't be the last time Abrams would call Ricky to star in his films, it was certainly the last time he ever agreed to star in a movie with Tom Cruise.
At number 10, we have Tom's accusations of forcing Scientologists to do grueling labor work for him. Over the past decade, numerous ex-members belonging to the Church of Scientology have stepped forward to point blame at the church for gross misconduct alongside several other allegations, and it seems Tom centers around the negativity. Former Inspector General Mark Rathburn once told R Online in 2011 that he obtains secret emails which prove that Scientologists were laborly forced to build a luxury bus to gift to Tom. In 2013, 15 ex-Scientologists also claimed Tom took reoccurring advantage of members while only paying them $1 per hour to complete endless jobs. Reports of their leader ordering them included completing the renovation of his home in Beverly Hills in 2004, overseeing the construction of a large custom motorhome for Cruise over a 5-month period, and assisting in the customization and construction of a special limousine for Tom Cruise. Former COS high ranker Amy Scooby once described having to locate Scientologists for Tom Cruise's household to cover the positions of nanny, cook, and maid. Reported documents allege that anyone who did not meet the requirements of their orders faced inhumane punishments. What are your thoughts on Tom Cruise's 10th red flag? Tell us in the comments below. At number 9, we have his apparent comparison of acting to fighting in Afghanistan. According to the reported deposition from 2013, during his $50 million
lawsuit against Bauer Media, the actor supposedly informed the court that on-location filming was just as taxing as serving a tour of duty. The lawyer of the opposite legal team had brought up his absence from Surrey, which publicly equated it for these extended periods of time as being analogous to someone fighting in Afghanistan. Are you aware of that? Tom reportedly responded with, "Didn't hear the Afghanistan, but that's what it feels like, and certainly on this last movie, it was brutal." The press was instant on this headliner, and Tom's lawyer Burt Fields attempted to set the record straight by claiming Tom's remarks were taken entirely out of context. Burt further slammed the assertions that Tom Cruise likened making a movie to being at war in Afghanistan is a gross distortion of the record. What Tom said laughingly was that sometimes that's what it feels like. At number 8 we have Tom's divorce strategy. Tom has gone through 3 marriages so far, all ending in messy headlines and he said she said. However, it's been reported that there is much more in common with his foreign marriages than the fact that they just ended. Apparently there's a pattern shadowing the actor in every one of his splits with his ex-wives, Mimi Rogers, Nicole Kidman, and Katie Holmes. According to reports, all 3 ladies were the exact same age when they filed for divorce, as well as each of them is 11 years younger than the last. Many have chalked this scenario up as a coincidence that he ended his marriage with them at the specific age of 33. However, others have noted that 33 is indeed a significant number for Tom's Church of Scientology. NY Daily News once reported, quote, "The original membership organization for the controversial religious group, the Hubbard Association of Scientologists, was founded in Phoenix, Arizona, which lies on the 33rd parallel." Outside of this theory though, there have been other simpler suggestions for this pattern, which is that Tom just has a preference for dating women under 33 and sticks to that no matter what. Regardless, it could be anything really. At number 7 we have Tom being accused of brainwashing his eldest younglings. While Nicole and Tom were still together, they adopted 2 kids named Isabella and Connor. However, once they split, it was stated that Tom did his very best to convince them that they needed to cut their mom out of their lives. This shocking allegation came from former Scientologist Sam Domingo in 2019 when Sam told R Online Tom made the decision to disconnect from Nicole and have his children disconnect. Sam claimed Isabella and Connor were forced into Scientology school and the removal of their mother. Furthermore, Sam went on to add that they were brainwashed by growing up without choices and that they are most notably being used as leverage for the church, and it's not right. Since this, Connor has reportedly been formulated into becoming the quote perfect Scientologist and remains under constant supervision as per the church-owned hotel surveillance. Isabella, on the other hand, started a promotional video for the church's London branch, which encouraged members to intern as auditors, where Isabella described how she felt the training was incredible and thanked her dad for everything. At number 6 we have Tom's toxic Mission Impossible 7 rant. His viral spiel during unprecedented times for the film industry reportedly resulted in a handful of crew members quitting. While the question of when filming for this movie will finally end has been up in the air for movie enjoyers since production halted during the prime time of the worldwide health policies, apparently Tom cost the team a lot more than monetary value can replace. While resuming shooting for the high-budget project, Tom famously scolded 2 crew members who allegedly failed to stick to official guidelines. Following this, reports detailed that 5 team members stepped down. The Sun described the December 14th occurrence, which faced obvious backlash. A source dished to the publication, "The first outburst was big, but things haven't calmed since. Tension has been building for months, and this was the final straw. There's been more anger and several staff have walked, but Tom just can't take anymore after all the lengths they've gone through just to keep filming. He's upset others aren't taking it as seriously as him. In the end, he's the one who carries the can." At number 5 we have Tom Cruise reportedly leaving his daughter Surrey Cruise behind. Tom wants absolutely no one to think he just left his youngest daughter hanging to dry. However, this is exactly what several stories are claiming over the past couple of years. In 2012, Tom filed his lawsuit against Bauer Media for their articles, which appeared in Life and Style and In Touch, with claims that he turned his back on his daughter. However, he was later forced to admit in his deposition the following year that he hadn't seen Surrey for an extended period of time because of his work. In 2012, it was marked at 100 days since he last saw her, and by 2016, In Touch had reports detailing over 1,000 days. A source informed the magazine that Tom, quote, uses his film commitments as an excuse, but the truth is that doesn't hold much weight with Surrey anymore. The source added Tom's connection to Scientology with this, and their disconnection policy as well. Quote, he's disconnected from Surrey because of her connection to Katie. He hasn't seen her since she was 7. At number 4, we have Tom punishing Scientologists. According to rumors stemming from former devoted member Leah Remini, who dished it all in her 2013 published piece, Troublemakers Surviving Hollywood Hollywood and Scientology, there are a number of horror stories about their most famous member during Leah's time there. In November 2018, Leah described to the Daily Beast that Scientologists are told that Tom Cruise is saving the world single-handedly, so he is considered a deity within Scientology. Leah further alleged that Tom is scarily aware of what takes place in Scientology, as he has reportedly been a part of it all. Leah added that she's previously been told by a senior executive of Scientology who was there that David constantly threatened their staff with bringing Tom Cruise to Gold Base. Aside from this, Leah also described to the outlet that there was a time when Tom personally punished a high-ranking member under David's orders. Of course, the COS rapidly shut down these allegations, telling ET Canada the interview is a PR stunt to promote her fake reality TV show. Remini has gone out of her way to manufacture hate and instigate harm toward innocent people. At number 3, we have Tom criticizing Brooke Shields' fight with postpartum depression. Back in 2005, Brooke showcased her mental health struggles through her Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum Depression memoir. Her Get Real tell-all follows the arrival of her daughter Rowan back in 2003. Brooke was uber honest about her use of therapy and antidepressants to cope, and this seemed to press Tom greatly. At the time, the actor spoke with Access Hollywood about how he felt Brooke's positive spin on her use of antidepressants was irresponsible. He further went on to say, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There's nothing that can cure them whatsoever. I care about Brooke because I think she is an incredibly talented woman, but look where her career has gone." However, Brooke was not here for any of that and slammed Tom back in a New York Times op-ed, writing, "Comments like those made by Tom Cruise are a disservice to mothers everywhere. If any good can come from Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rant, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease." Brooke later also told People, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." At number 2, we have Tom's alleged ties to the COS auditioning wives for him. In between Nicole and Katie, apparently, the Church of Scientology attempted to scope out the ideal wife for the actor. At least that is according to a mind-boggling Vanity Fair report in 2012. The VF article suspected that Shelley, wife of leader David, was hand-selecting the perfect girlfriend for their star member. During 2004, there was a rumored audition that took place with actresses who were also a part of the COS, who were called into what they originally assumed was a training film audition. However, according to reports, the actors were supposedly asked questions about Tom, and then in October 2004, Homeland actress Nazini Bonayati was apparently chosen as the frontrunner. In line with the magazine, Nazini partook in daily audits over the course of a month and was forced to disclose every single detail about herself with nothing off limits. In November of that year, Nazini was eventually selected to go on a date with Tom, but she was reportedly told to break up with her boyfriend, remove her braces, and darken her hair first. According to sources, the actress also signed numerous confidentiality agreements, but the romance derailed in January 2005. Insiders claim Tom would report his live-in girlfriend to the staff of COS if he wasn't pleased with her actions. Resultantly, Tom apparently got someone to break up with her, with the explanation that the actor wanted someone with her own power, like Nicole. At number 1, we have Tom being the reason why his former divorces ended. Is Scientology to blame for the split from his ex-wives? A number of ex-Scientologists seem to think so. Previous high-ranking Scientologist Marty Rathburn alleged that his job was to facilitate the breakup with Nicole Kidman because she was a non-believer. In the 2015 documentary Going Clear: Scientology and the Prison to Believe. To corroborate these claims, Leah informed US Weekly that the Celebrity Center's senior vice president, quote, used confidential Scientology counseling sessions to bring a wedge between Tom and his wife Nicole because Nicole didn't want to do Scientology anymore, adding that through Marty Rathburn, he and David were able to get rid of Nicole to get Tom closer to Scientology. Tom and Nicole split back in 2001, and Nicole went viral during the finalization process when she exited her lawyer's office in unfiltered bliss. As for Katie, if we time jump to 2006, their marriage was officiated with David as Tom's best man. But in 2012, Tom made claims of being blindsided by Katie's decision to divorce and gain full custody of their daughter Suri. While the COS wasn't directly meddling at the time, it seems the practice was the official fallout between the former couple.
At number 10, we have jumping on Oprah's sofa. So when Tom Cruise was caught jumping on Oprah's sofa, it had to be one of the most arrogant incidents to ever happen in Hollywood. In 2005, in his interview with Oprah, the episode would become one of the most bizarre public displays of affection we have ever seen. Now, Tom would only appear on the show to promote his role in the film War of the Worlds. However, people would quickly forget about the film entirely after he went on to declare his love for Katie Holmes. Tom would then be seen acting manically as he began to jump up and down on Oprah's furniture while screaming, "I'm in love, I'm in love. It's one of these things where you want to be cool, like yeah, I like her. That's how I feel." However, while the star wanted to look cool, he definitely didn't in this situation. And number 9, stunt gone wrong. So in the acting world, Tom is well known for performing his own stunts, and some of his stunts he's performed, not even a stunt devil would do the same thing. With the Mission Impossible franchise providing a wealth of opportunities for him to indulge in his inner daredevil, like the moment he clung to the outside of a plane when it took off. The film definitely took a toll on him because not only was he launched into the air tied to the outside of an airplane, however, he also had to scale the world's tallest building. However, in the 6th Mission Impossible series, Tom would actually end up performing a stunt after insisting he could do it, and he ended up breaking his ankle in the process. When the actor was meant to hit the side of the wall and pull himself up and over the edge, he made the mistake of hitting the wall with his foot, and he knew instantly his ankle was broken. If Tom didn't let his arrogance get the best of him, this whole situation could have been avoided if he just let the stunt devil do his job. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And number 8, Scientology video. Tom Cruise is a member of the Church of Scientology, and this has been a well-known fact known by the public for years. Although his involvement with the church has been pretty controversial over the last couple of years, many of us are surprised when the church released a promotional video onto the internet back in 2008, and it featured Tom Cruise. The 9-minute video would show Tom discussing his beliefs while the theme of his Mission Impossible films played in the background. The video format appeared to be an interview with Cruise, and it was edited so viewers couldn't hear the questions being asked, and some of Cruise's responses even ended up abruptly. His strange, intense, and strong delivery as he discussed the benefits of Scientology left us all appropriately bewildered. It was just such an arrogant moment because it's never right to preach about any type of religion anywhere, and while the star can study and believe what he wants to believe, he definitely should have known better. And number 7, the Matt Lauer interview. Another one of Tom Cruise's most arrogant moments caught on camera when he clashed with Matt Lauer on the Today Show, and the whole interview got pretty heated. In June of 2020, Brooke Shields would lash out at Cruise, who on Access Hollywood called her irresponsible for using medication to help her combat her battle with depression. Tom would sit down with Matt and he became pretty defensive. Matt then took a few moments to devote the interview to the film before diving into Tom's relationship with Katie, Scientology, and ultimately then brought up the Brooke Shields dust-up. Cruise would then go on to call Matt a glib and would go on to a rant to defend Scientology and their anti-psychiatry stance. After the interview, Tom would also later admit that his conduct in the interview came across as arrogant because honestly, it pretty much did. And number 6, the water prank. Though Tom Cruise has been given a few outrageous interviews, he probably can be excused for being a little peeved with Channel 4 during a red carpet encounter that happened in 2005 after the interviewer decided to play a prank on the actor by spraying Tom in the face with a small jet of water. Tom would then be furious and go on to say, "That's incredibly rude. I'm here giving you an interview." Tom would then continue to go on and would call the interviewer a jerk. Later, a clip of the interview would then begin to circulate online, and fans were quick to call out Tom's arrogance. After it was reported, he got police involved over the harmless incident. Channel 4 would then come out to issue an apology to Tom over the stunt. Channel 4 would come out to say, "The stunt was intended to be lighthearted rather than malicious, and we would like to apologize to Mr. Cruise for any offense that was caused." Number 5, we have restricted oxygen. During an appearance on the Late Night Show with David Letterman in 1999, Tom Cruise would recall the moment where he restricted oxygen for a passenger when flying to Colorado. According to Tom, he and his co-pilot, as well as a passenger, were using oxygen masks because they were flying at high altitudes. However, Tom realized that he didn't have enough oxygen to stay alert at that altitude. Him and the pilot decided to turn off the oxygen masks for the passengers so they could continue on their journey. As he continued to tell the story, he would say that the passenger passed out due to a lack of oxygen, and he found the situation pretty hilarious. The whole situation was pretty much arrogant because Tom and his co-pilot had the opportunity to go down to a lower altitude to continue their journey. Instead of disregarding the passenger's safety, just decided to care about his own well-being, which just isn't okay. And number 4, Brooke Shields feud. In 2005, Tom would criticize Brooke Shields for using medication. The whole situation would cause a major rift between the two stars. Cruise would go on to tell Access Hollywood that Brooke was irresponsible for saying in her memoir, Down Came the Rain, that she used medications to help cure her of her postpartum depression following the birth of her daughter Rowan in 2003. Brooke then would respond to Tom by saying he should stick to saving the world from aliens. Tom would later be asked about his views in another interview on the Today Show, and he got into a pretty heated argument with the interviewer. Tom would go on to say that there's no such thing as chemical imbalance and insisted that vitamins and exercise were a better way to cure depression, before going on to call the host a glib. Brooke would then go on to say that Cruise's comments were a disservice to mothers everywhere. Tom would then go over to Brooke's house to later apologize, and they seemed to recover their friendship as Brooke would attend his wedding in 2006. And number 3, 60 Minute Australia interview. In 2005, Tom was interviewed by 60 Minute Australia to talk about his Scientology beliefs and Hollywood stardom. During his interview with the journalist, Peter Overton, he would be asked a series of questions about Nicole Kidman. Eventually, Tom would feel like the questions have gone too far, in which he prompted to say, "You're overstepping your line now, you're overstepping the line, and you know you are." When Peter was asking questions the public wanted to know, Tom would then respond by saying, "Take responsibility for what you want to know. Don't say what other people say. This is a conversation I'm having with you, right?" Tom then continued to say, "I'm just telling you right now, just put your manners back in." And number 2, rant on set. I think we all had enough with the situation we were all put in following 2019. However, Tom really came across arrogant following a dispute he had with film crew staff that chose not to follow the rules. When an audio recording started to circulate on the internet, Tom furiously berated the crew of the Mission Impossible 7 set for failing to follow the rules, and we would all be left feeling shook when the actor went on to say, "If I see you do it again, you're effing done. We are the gold standard. They're back in Hollywood making films right now because of us, because they believe in us and what we're doing. We're creating thousands of jobs. I don't want to ever see it again. Ever." Fans then would become pretty divided over the outburst, as Tom went about the issue in such an aggressive tone and the use of language didn't sit well with any of us. While some agreed with his points, claiming that he was taking a stand for health and safety, there was definitely a better way of dealing with the situation. Number 1, hysterical antidote. Now, no one knows if this situation was less awkward or confrontational or simply just confusing. Tom made an appearance on David Letterman's late night show in the mid-90s. It would show the actor laughing for several minutes straight. The whole situation would start when Tom was trying to relate to Antidote about his latest movie. Tom began to crack up near the beginning of the interview and couldn't seem to stop laughing for the whole duration. Luckily for him, everyone around him also said it was funny, including David Letterman, who would also soon join his peers in laughter. However, the unexplained fit of near hysteria endures one of Cruise's most arrogant moments.
Number 10. Scientology rants. Apart from his acting chops, Cruise is probably best known for his passionate advocacy of the Church of Scientology. In the past, Cruise has claimed that the religion was a key factor in helping him overcome his dyslexia and holds a fairly active role in the controversial church. For those who don't know, Scientology is a set of beliefs invented by a writer named L. Ron Hubbard. I spent half of my day trying to figure out what specifically those beliefs are, but hey, it turns out the information about these guys is just as cryptic as the religion itself. Tom was first introduced to Scientology by his first wife, Mimi Rogers, whose father was a prominent member of the movement and has stuck with it ever since. While nobody on this planet deserves to be hated because of their beliefs, Tom doesn't help this situation, as it's been reported on numerous occasions that he seizes any opportunity he finds to corner you and break down his religion for a long time. Famous comedian Seth Rogen wrote in his biography Yearbook about an experience that he had with Tom after being invited to his home in 2006. When the topic of Scientology was mentioned, Tom went on a tangent about how he was being perceived in the media and explained to Rogen in great detail the reasons that he should be a Scientologist. He asked Rogen to give him 20 minutes to really sink into the history of the church, but thankfully director Judd Apatow was sitting with them at the time and he was like, "Nah, we're good." Tom was nuts. He even blamed the pharmaceutical companies for making him look bad, saying that they had something to do with the negative press. They've got better things to do, like, I don't know, cure chicken pox and stuff. Number 9. angry little man. While Tom may be an action movie star and was once a young Hollywood heartthrob, he's had a massive temper since day one. According to both former assistants as well as several co-stars from Tom's past, Cruise is a regular toddler and is known to throw tantrums being set off by the smallest things. His former manager Eileen Berlin presented Tom with a gift on his 19th birthday. She gave him an album of teen magazine articles written about him, and apparently that set him off. He told his manager that he considered himself an adult, not a teen idol, and he decided to throw the book right in her face. Another example of Tom's aggression was on display during the filming of his recent Top Gun sequel Maverick. During this time, Tom and the rest of the film crew were tasked to shoot on an actual aircraft carrier still being used by the US military. One of the crewmates of that ship posted on Twitter calling out the audacity of Tom's behavior. He tweeted that Tom Cruise was really on our ship telling people not to talk or look at him. After a few choice words, the crewmate made it very clear that Tom was not welcome aboard their vessel. These are just two examples though. Tom has blown up on film crews several times in the past, to the point where his Mission Impossible 2 co-star was constantly scared of Tom on set and what he may freak out about next. Number 8, he's chaotic. Now, it's one thing to be asking people to join your church all the time, whatever, no biggie. But Tom's behavior as a member of society has been rough to say the least. Following the announcement that he was engaged to Katie Holmes in the early 2000s, Tom appeared on an episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show that has gone down as one of the most chaotic TV interviews of all time. From the moment he walks on stage, he has such a strange energy. He's like oddly excited, like he just got told the best news in his entire life. He throws his arms up in the air, he rubs Oprah's shoulders like she's a lamp and he's trying to summon a genie. He revealed to the audience that the excitement was from his engagement to fellow actor Katie Holmes. Awesome, man, but can you stop trying to break Oprah, please? Seriously, Tom jumped on her couch, she grabbed her hands over and over again. She couldn't even get to the questions that she had for him because he was just so chaotic. Eventually, Oprah was like, whatever, just bring her out. And the cameras followed Tom as he ran around the studio trying to find her. It looked like a scene from Paranormal Activity. Tom's energy continued to stay at that level of chaos throughout his entire marriage to Katie. Since the divorce though, he's just nuts. Number 7, political moves. Due to his beliefs in Scientology, Cruise intensified his dedication to share his beliefs by becoming an international lobbyist with the goal of helping his church be recognized as an official religion. Tom tried to share his message in multiple countries and was denied by all of them. According to the Irish Examiner, leaders in Paris came to an agreement in 2005 not to make Cruise an honorary citizen because of his affiliation with the church. If that's not bad enough, Cruise brought his issues to the German government. A chief spokesperson for the Protestant church shared that they were against Cruise and his beliefs, comparing him to Joseph Goebbels, a German propagandist. Making a move from TV to politics has historically been a bad one, with the only successful stories really being Arnold Schwarzenegger and Donald Trump, and one of those guys went back to the movies and the other one's in jail now, so I don't know, you be the judge. Number 6, multiple messy divorces. Tom's love life has been a part of the media circus for a large portion of his career. His first marriage to actress Mimi Rogers only lasted 3 years before they split and Tom moved on to Nicole Kidman. Kidman and Cruise got married in 1990 and they were actually together for quite some time. They were together for like 11 years before ultimately calling it quits in 2001. But of course his most memorable and public relationship was with his now ex Katie Holmes. As previously mentioned on this list, the two were engaged in 2005 and at the time Tom was stoked. They tied the knot and stayed together for only 7 years. With the ending of each marriage comes a litany of negative press. Tom got divorced 3 times, which means that 3 times Tom has had to publicly air his dirty laundry for us all to see, and as many of us know, dirty laundry belongs in a pile on your floor. Hide it away. Number 5. Control freak. Tom is no stranger to an on-set freakout or two, but he's also made a name for himself as a bit of a control freak. Both on set and in his personal relationships, Tom feels a need to be in charge of every little thing at any given time. An insider told Radar Online that Tom was not good at keeping a relationship, as many women found him to be very intense. To him, any partner is an extension of himself and his brand. So he's not only intense, but he's also a micromanager as well. So much so that at times, Cruise has even been known to control what his partners are allowed to wear when they're in public together. This made many love interests feel like members of his staff, and rightfully so. Tom has also been a control freak on set, with the most recent example being an incident that occurred on his last Mission Impossible movie. An audio clip was released of Cruise berating several crew members with intense anger. The crew in question were accused of not following safety protocols that were in place at that time. In his rant, Tom is heard swearing and screaming about the rules, and how if he wants something to happen, it will happen. The crew are essentially his minions, who must do their master's bidding. The rant went viral, but Cruise defended the rant rather than apologizing for his words, claiming that he said what he said and the stakes were high at the time, so I don't know, deal with it. While this may have been happening at a time when Hollywood was shut down and many productions were on hold, that's no excuse to harass the people trying to make you look good. Number 4, mansplainer. Now, telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to ensure you won't be popular among a female demographic, but telling them how to give birth? Now that's a whole other level of messed up. While many people in power have been trying to tell women what to do with their bodies forever, Cruise was forced to address rumors that he made his third wife Katie give birth in secret and in complete silence, a practice Scientologists believe prevents any permanent psychic scars caused by negative vibes at birth. Cruise confirmed that this was true, but made the argument that the process was not as strict as many people believed it to be. He even had a special pacifier made specifically for Katie to keep her as quiet as possible during the birth. This wasn't the only time Cruise chimed in on his beliefs, as in 2005 he openly criticized Endless Love co-star Brooke Shields for taking medication to help her cope with postpartum depression. Well, Shields responded by telling Tom that he should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum decide what treatment options are best for them. Eat it, Tom! Number 3, converter. Devoting one's life to a faith created by a science fiction writer is all well and good, but trying to talk your fellow celebs into doing the same thing, that's annoying. I'm sure someone out there is still trying to get signatures for their Church of Lovecraft petition, but we don't have to get into that. Former high-ranking Scientologist Gary Moorhead, great last name by the way, told the Daily Mail that Cruise had an unhealthy obsession with soccer superstar David Beckham and viewed him as the ideal candidate for conversion. Sadly for Tom, that never actually happened, but it wasn't for lack of trying though. According to Gary, in an attempt to lure Beckham into Scientology headquarters, Cruise ordered Sea Org, which is the short form for Scientology organization members, to create a full-size soccer stadium. That's right, he built a stadium like the old nerdy guy in Benchwarmers. Hey, guess what? Beckham didn't show up. After he said he'd come check the place out, himself and his wife decided to ditch the event and chose to ghost protocol his butt. Number 2, bad dad. Cruise has 3 children, Isabella and Connor, who were adopted during his marriage to Nicole Kidman, and Suri, who he fathered with Katie Holmes before they split up. The first sign of Cruise being a bad dad came in 2015 when he missed his eldest daughter's wedding, despite her being heavily involved in the church, going so far as to have a Scientology-themed wedding. While Bella does keep in contact with her father, the same cannot be said for Tom's other kids. According to a June 2016 report from In Touch, Cruise hasn't had contact with Suri in years. According to insiders, this is simply due to his wanting to distance himself from his ex Katie, and unfortunately by association, his daughter. Tom's heavy involvement in the Scientology community has caused him to neglect anyone who is either against or disagrees with his ideas. While being dedicated to one's faith is nothing to make fun of, this man deserves a bad dad mug as soon as possible. And number 1, people love to hate the guy. Let's face it, when a celebrity messes up or does something crazy, everyone jumps on the media bandwagon. We as a society famously love to watch the elites crumble, as it's a fun time for all of us normies. Unfortunately for Tom, that bandwagon will never be empty, and Tom himself continues to give us cause for concern. It's 2023, and this man is still regularly freaking out on set, controlling the women in his relationship, and being a chaotic bad everywhere he goes. Despite his questionable beliefs and erratic outbursts, Cruise still remains in high demand. To this day, he is still one of Hollywood's leading men despite the public reputation and gossip that has followed him through his entire career. It only makes sense that a man who can get away with so much is seen as a pariah by his fellow celebrities and fans. He continues to regularly release blockbusters, and while some have failed to recoup their huge budgets, for instance, Tom is single-handedly responsible for ruining the Warner Brothers Monsterverse. Not only did he mess with the script for the production of The Mummy, he also changed shooting locations, themes, and entire characters. simply because he was the producer and he could do it. Hey man, next time just give Tom some crayons and a pad and let him loose, alright? Put him in the corner, just ignore him.
And at number 10, antisocial antics. Actor Jim Carrey formally revealed that Tom carries around a particular nickname in the industry. When mentioning the renowned star in his book, Memoirs and Misinformation, Jim stated that Tom was constantly being referred to as Laserjack Lightning within Hollywood. While exposing this, Jim added, "That's just us poking fun at the litigiousness of Hollywood. I know Tom. He may sock me, but hey, I'll take the beating for a piece of art." An unnamed source once claimed to Life and Style that Hollywood may have iced Tom out. Then there's the alleged theory that the actor has stuck with his promise of never speaking with or working alongside those who exposed him. The same source concluded he doesn't have that many close friends and he certainly doesn't trust many people. Some say all of his supposed celebrity friendships are phony. Before we break down the rest of today's list, be sure to tap our notification bell for more top 10 celebrity content. And at number 9, hates Rob Lowe. There was a time when the filmmaking actor and podcaster dished about his heated run-in with the Mission Impossible star. Rob formerly recounted the encounter with Tom while they were stationed on a set of The Outsiders. The incident occurred during a fight scene rehearsal when Rob accidentally hit Tom's nose and reportedly set him off. According to media claims, Rob stated he and Tom had to be separated to prevent them from engaging in a genuine physical fight, exclaiming, "The next thing you know, he's ready to kill me." Rob also mentioned how Tom lost his marbles when he discovered they'd be rooming together in New York during their final auditions for The Outsiders. And at number 8, bossy regulator. Tom's infamously viral Unprecedented Times rant was supposedly sending the right message but delivered in the worst way possible. Of course, shaming and publicly humiliating people is never okay and serves as an ineffective way to get messages across. Reports even stated compassion works best in response to compliance. However, there was nothing compassionate about the way Tom reportedly berated his Mission Impossible 7 crew about 2020 health protocols, leaked via an audio recording. Said recording emerged capturing the actor explosively shouting at his MI7 crew over their apparent health tiff, exposed by the British news outlet The Sun. While no one knew what sparked the outburst originally, The Sun stated Tom addressed 2 members on set who he believed broke protocols while filming on the outskirts of London. Both Variety and the New York Times cited unnamed sources surrounding the film to confirm the leak's authenticity. In the recording, Tom is overheard screaming that whoever did it again would be effing gone, and to not ever do it again. Tom further appeared to inform the crew via the audio that Hollywood relies on films similar to theirs to keep the industry thriving. And at number 7, lies about lies. Everyone knows, or at least thinks they know, just how deeply Tom's involvement in the whole Scientology stuff is and whatnot. But he'll be the first to debunk these practice theories, despite media evidence possibly working against him. According to Vanity Fair, and frankly just about every other publisher, Tom was using his status in Scientology to find a lifelong partner. But ask Tom or anybody in his inner circle and they'll straight up tell you it's lies. Back in 2012, Tom's representative lawyer, Bert Fields, spoke to ET in response to a then new Vanity Fair article which claimed a low-down Scientology project was crafted as a way to help the star find a partner, calling out the article as being long, boring, and false. The then new VF piece alleged that back in 2004, before Tom's marriage to Katie Holmes, members of Scientology geared up on a top-secret mission led by Shelley Miscavige, wife of Scientology leader David Miscavige, to scout out a girlfriend for Tom, involving an elaborate auditioning process. The article further detailed some rather harsh treatment Nazanin Baniadi allegedly faced after being selected to date Tom between November 2004 to January 2005. Scientology spokespeople denied all claims of the project existing, and both Tom and David declined to be interviewed by the outlet. However, the church did respond to Paul's claims, insisting he and Nazanin were part of a group founded by self-admitted liars who are anti-Scientology and repeatedly sold off stories to top bidders over the years. And at number 6, labor work scheme. Across the last decade or so, a handful of ex-members belonging to the Church of Scientology have spoken out to blame the group for inappropriate misconduct, among several other allegations, and Tom seemingly centered right around the bad press. Back in 2013, a total of 15 Scientologists alleged how Tom took repeated advantage of members while only paying them a single dollar per hour to complete endless tasks. Reports included their leader ordered them to complete the renovation of his Beverly Hills home back in 2004, to oversee the construction of a large custom motorhome for crews within 5 months, and to assist in the process of customization and construction for a reserved limousine for the actor. Former high-ranker Scientologist Amy Scooby once detailed her jobs of locating workers of the church to maintain their positions of nanny, cook, and maid. And at number 5, celebrities avoid him like the plague. According to reports, numerous celebrities allegedly maintained distance from the actor irregularly. An unknown insider once claimed that the reason why celebrities keep Tom at arm's length is that whoever gets close to him is encouraged to convert to Scientology. Obviously, this tactic was dubbed as creepy and overall invasive. But apart from the church's recruitments, many others have been open about the tales of Tom's overgrown temper tantrums and overall questionable behavior. Due to this, and probably a bit more, Tom allegedly relocated to London at one point and has remained rather private about his very public life since. A source even backed up these claims by once saying, "Tom's star status is taking a hit. He's definitely at a crossroads in his life." In at number 4, divorce patterns. Throughout his life, Tom has had 3 divorces under his belt, all of which ended in messy headlines and he said she said media games. Reports have described the insane similarities between his former spouses and the way they've all ended too. Allegedly, Tom has a bad habit of allowing history to repeat itself, as there have been reported patterns shadowing the actor from every one of his splits with his ex-wives. From Mimi Rogers to Nicole Kidman and Katie Holmes, many netizens chalk their scenarios up as an odd coincidence that his marriage to them ended at the specific age of 33. However, others noted that 33 is a rather significant number for Tom's Scientology practice. Outside of that theory though, there have been other less wild suggestions for the exposed pattern, which is simply just Tom having a preference for dating women under 33 and sticking to that no matter what. In at number 3, the height debate. Tom has never been one to lie about his height specifically, but it's been detailed that Tom's height has been yet another exposed secret within the industry. A 2020 article published by The Things released a theory which may have proved Tom's height has been one great big fib. It's no shocker that fans are adamant when it comes to speculation about the acting star, and even though Tom's infamous Oprah couch moment is still talked about even today, we've clearly seen a downfall in Tom's personal feelings being announced to the world. As E! Online elaborated, while Tom was cast in one shot, many were unimpressed by Tom landing the role of Jack Reacher. While the character and plotline seemed perfect for Tom as an action-based film, fans of the Lee Child series just weren't happy. And while Tom didn't declare his height then, fans were clearly aware of how tall he is. Tom insisted on Lee Child's approval of him playing Jack as well. But of course, Tom was incredibly irked about fans commenting on the size of his stature. It states online that the actor is 5 feet 7 inches, and going based on that, it seems he's never lied about his height. Though he did also make regular appearances with his 5'9" ex-wife Katie for years with no issues. Not to mention his size never held him back in Hollywood, still worth millions and only adding even more acting credits to his resume within each month. In at number 2, controversial conversations. Tom once seemed to compare acting to combat fighting in Afghanistan. As for a 2013 reported deposition, while entangled in his $50 million lawsuit against Bauer Media, the actor allegedly informed the court that being on location while filming took about as much energy as serving a tour of duty. The opposing team's lawyer brought up Tom's alleged absence from Surrey, which publicly equated his comparison to acting being as taxing as someone fighting in Afghanistan. After Tom was questioned if he was aware of his words, the actor reportedly responded, "Didn't hear Afghanistan, but that's what it feels like, and certainly on this last movie, it was brutal." Naturally, the press was on Tom's tail with the effortless headliner, all while Tom's defense lawyer, Bert, attempted to clear the air about his supposedly exaggerated statements. Bert even slammed people assuming Tom's remarks were harmful too, stating, "The assertions that Tom likened making a movie to being at war is a gross distortion of record." What Tom said, laughingly, was that sometimes that's what it feels like. In at number 1, Worst Father of the Year award. Finally, we have the touchy topic of Tom's fatherhood. On top of being accused of brainwashing his eldest kids, Tom also reportedly abandoned another one too. But before we break down the latter, let's discuss the former a bit more. While Nicole Kidman and Tom were still married, they adopted 2 children named Isabella and Connor. Once they split, it was stated via reports that Tom did his very best to convince the pair they needed to cut their mom out of their lives. Former Scientologist Sam Domingo claimed Isabella and Connor were forced into Scientology school and taken away from their mother. Sam further added how they were brainwashed by growing up, sans choices, and was most notably being used as leverage for the church. While Connor allegedly remained in their care under full-time surveillance supervision, working to become the perfect Scientologist, Isabella starred in promotional videos for the church's London branch and encouraged members to intern as auditors. Isabella also reportedly described how the training was incredible and thanked her dad for everything. Then came the reports of Tom leaving his daughter Surrey behind. While Tom wanted absolutely no one to think he just upped and left his youngest daughter out to dry, this is adamantly what several stories claimed over the years. In 2012, Tom filed his Bauer Media lawsuit for the Life and Style and In Touch articles with claims that he turned his back on his daughter. However, he was later forced to admit in his deposition the next year that he had abandoned Surrey for an extended time due to work. A source added to this by claiming Tom's connection connection to Scientology and its disconnection policy was involved in the process. Of course, this should all be taken with a grain of salt, as a lot of tabloids will claim whatever. There's also the fact that Tom hasn't ever really seen a hit in his active working streak within history still, and all the hate towards him never once stopped his money-making success at the end of the day.
At number 10, we have Justin Bieber. Tom Cruise's train of haters doesn't just end with A-list Hollywood actors and actresses. Apparently, Justin Bieber is one of them as well, or is he? Justin and Tom's history doesn't go that far back, as their interaction or lack thereof was so random. Literally, no one saw it coming. A few years ago, Justin tweeted out to his fans about wanting to fight Tom. Fans were understandably confused because where was this coming from? One fan asked, "Why Tom Cruise of all people?" And another said, "Did I miss something?" Both very valid points, as there had been no exchange between the two that would explain why Justin would want to fight Tom. A year later, the singer explained the intention behind his tweet, and it's anticlimactic as it comes. In an interview, he said, "I don't know, I was just being stupid, to be honest." So no, he doesn't actually want to fight Tom, and there doesn't seem to be any real bad blood between them. He also admitted that it was just a random tweet, which he claims to do often. He had seen one of Tom's interviews at the time. It honestly could have been any celebrity, but that day it just happened to be Tom. At number 9, we have Kate Middleton and Prince William. Tom was at the premiere for the sequel Top Gun Maverick. This was a royal charity premiere event, so Prince William and Kate were attending the premiere as well. Sounds random if you ask me, but I don't know how these things work, so what do I know? Once the royal couple made it to the carpet, they were greeted by Tom as well as some other staff crew. But Tom took it upon himself to escort them personally. I don't know if it was to suck up to them both for the press or he valued them that much, but it could easily be both. It's not every day a member of the royal family would partake in such an event, never mind two. Videos at the premiere showed him offer his hand to Kate, and viewers praised Tom for being a gentleman. But others believe that Kate and Prince William were actually uncomfortable with it. One fan pointed out that Kate had held her clutch in her other hand to avoid taking Tom's hand again. One other person commented how she apparently looked mortified and that the royals aren't to be touched, even by a wildly successful actor like Tom himself. They also claimed how Kate is a conservative woman, so holding hands with just about anyone is already a no-no, but she had done it in the spur of the moment as to not create a scene. At number 8, we have Trey Parker and Matt Stone. When it comes to South Park and its jokes, it usually treads against dark humor waters, as many adult comedy shows are. If you're a big name, chances are they've probably joked about you at least once. And Tom Cruise was not an exception, whom the writers later found themselves in a potential legal battle with. Back in 2005, there were talks of the actor suing Trey Parker and Matt Stone for defamation after they insinuated something about him on their show. The joke in question was Tom's character inside a closet with an animated version of his ex, Nicole Kidman, urging him to come out of said closet. The writers were implying his sexuality, which he didn't like. Now, for a case like defamation, you think that they were out to literally defame his name and character. It became such an issue, the episode that came after had a disclaimer that read, "All characters and events on this show, even those based on real persons, are entirely fictional." It remains unclear if Tom ended up going through with this case or not, but at the time, rumors regarding his sexuality was talked about a lot in Hollywood, and it wasn't the first time someone was warned of being sued by the actor for these claims. At number 7, we have Kate Ceberano. Lots of people thought that he and Australian singer Kate Ceberano were close buddies when it was revealed she is also a member of the Scientology church. And if you didn't know, Tom Cruise is known for two things: being an actor and being an active member of Scientology. So everyone thought the two were at least in similar social circles until the singer shut them down. They are in fact not friends, as she further described the rumor that it's like assuming every Catholic person was friends with the Pope. And that's actually a valid point too. Scientology has quite the following, but that doesn't mean everyone knows each other. That's literally impossible. In 2009, when Tom was still with Kate, they were seen going to Australia, which is when the beliefs started going around. When asked if she met up with the stars, she said no and that she doesn't even know them. She rarely ever mentions her Scientology beliefs and doesn't like how often she's associated with Tom just because of it.
She also decided that it isn't even worth her time or energy to keep denying them and allows people to decide whatever they want to believe despite her telling the truth. When asked about it, she said, "You know how it goes in the end, you go whatever." At number 6, we have Kirstie Alley. It was believed that there was some bad blood between the two, or that it was one-sided beef that Tom had with the actress. When it was first reported that Kirstie passed away last year, people thought that Tom would at least acknowledge it to the public, as many others did. But he didn't. Rumors that there was drama between the two started after Leah Remini's memoir briefly mentioned how Tom didn't like Kirstie, and the way he dealt with the news of her passing only seemed to solidify it. In the memoir, she also wrote how Kirstie was one of the few that wasn't even invited to Tom and Katie Holmes' wedding in 2006. Nothing was confirmed, but it was definitely clear that Kirstie was at least a loyal person and fellow member of the Scientology church alongside Tom. When talks of Tom and the church auditioning women to become his wife came out, she defended Tom. When asked about it, she said, "I think whenever you have articles written that there are third and fourth parties' opinions, it's like the game Gossip and you don't get the truth. I think that a magazine of that caliber should have interviewed him and then they would get the truth." Next on the list, we have Nazanin Boniandi. Before Tom married Kate, he was married to actress Nazanin. Their marriage was met with tons of criticism due to the unorthodox ways of going through with it. It was reported that he needed someone who shared the same religious beliefs as him, as his previous relationships with members outside of Scientology didn't work out. Apparently, Nazanin had been accepted into one of their institution's buildings meant for celebrities, where she met one of the Scientologist higher-ups. He told her she was meant to complete a mission that would help her meet lots of other Scientologists like herself. Apparently, she was dating and was engaged to another man at the time, which they coerced her into breaking up with him, along with telling her to get rid of her red hair and her short-term braces. This confrontation also came with an agreement that said if she messed up in any way, she would be shunned by the church and her own mother. It was this contract where she allegedly agreed to marry Tom. Lots of her rights and personal freedoms were no longer hers, as she basically signed her life away. These reports were never officially confirmed, as many are still speculation, but she did end up leaving the church altogether when she and Tom divorced in 1990. Next on the list at number 4, we have David Miscavige. These two were friends, and this is said with a huge question mark because their friendship was weird. One former member of Scientology who worked closely with David said that their friendship was the most intense, expensive romance in history. As a world-famous Hollywood actor and as the leader of Scientology, this makes sense considering their huge roles in society. It was reported that Tom's fame in the industry was constantly a liability, especially when the news broke out that he and Katie were getting divorced. He allegedly was not happy with this new wave of negative attention the church was receiving as a result. Even though Scientology has always had a bad rep, if I'm not mistaken, he was convinced that their divorce brought upon lies and misconception about their beliefs. Supposedly, one former Scientologist used Tom's divorce as their way to further smear the church with lies so they could promote themselves. And then there were rumors that Tom himself would be leaving Scientology as well. But this was back in 2012. Seeing as he's still an active participant in his church, I don't think he'll be leaving anytime soon. At number 3, we have Penelope Cruz. The two actors met on set of the movie Vanilla Sky, where they both starred in it. Tom was still married to Nicole Kidman at the time, and the timeline transitioning between relationships was questionable. When he and Nicole had their divorce finalized in August 2001, was the same month Tom and Penelope went public as a couple for the first time. Despite rumors she involved herself with a married man, she shut them down. She said, "I've never fallen in love with someone I'm working with. It's always been afterwards. If something becomes friendship, then maybe months later it becomes something else, but you can never know." And the two seemed very happy together. They were both successful and undeniably attractive, so what could go wrong? They ended up breaking up 3 years later, and it was believed that his Scientologist views were a big part of it. One source claimed that Tom was looking to propose, but Penelope felt that the Church of Scientology was the third wheel in their relationship. Penelope doesn't have anything against the church, but it just wasn't her thing. She admired Tom's dedication to it, but it wasn't her cup of tea and wasn't something she wanted to give her life up for. At number 2, we have Mimi Rogers. Now, before Katie Holmes and Penelope Cruz and Nicole Kidman, there was Mimi Rogers. The two met and started dating in 1985, but they both can't seem to agree on how they met. Tom said they met at a dinner party, while Mimi claimed they were set up by friends. Their marriage happened just as fast, as they were wed in a super secret and private wedding ceremony in 1987. The fact that they both couldn't agree how they met, it makes sense then that they also couldn't agree on how or why they decided to separate in 1990. This time, it was ideas between them two and rumors brought forth by fans and the media. Some included Mimi being jealous of Tom's success in Hollywood, as she is also an actress herself, their 6-year age gap that took a toll on their marriage, and even the fact that she hated being constantly referred to as Tom's wife. Their public statement announcing the divorce didn't make anything clearer. That was until Mimi said in an interview that Tom confessed that he wanted to become a monk and that their marriage wouldn't have been able to withstand his spiritual needs. And finally, at number 1, we have Suri Cruise. In case you didn't know, because I for sure didn't, Tom has 3 children in total. His first 2 kids were with Nicole Kidman, and Suri is his youngest and latest daughter with Katie Holmes. When he and Katie got divorced, people questioned what would become of their parenting situation. Would they have joint custody? Would Suri go stay with her mom? Allegedly, Tom was not granted any custody and it was all appointed to Katie. While Tom's relationship with his 2 elder kids remains stable as they're also members of Scientology, people believe that the same can't be said for his relationship with Suri. One source claimed that they were estranged. The last time Tom was seen in public with Suri was in 2012, and they were spending a day together in Disneyland. 2012 was also the year he and Katie got divorced, so speculators claim that that was one of the last times he got to see her. Another source claimed their estrangement was only inevitable as Katie left him to protect their daughter from Scientology. Now imagine having such a bad reputation. We can list down at least 20 notable individuals in the industry that probably don't like you. The range this man has, and I'm not just talking about his acting career.
Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have an A-top life. When it comes to Tom Cruise's past, it seems like it wasn't as easy as he would like us all to believe, especially when he was younger. While most 13-year-olds would find it hard to cope with all the factors that come with school, especially when it comes to fitting in, considering Tom had to attend 13 different schools when growing up, hints that he didn't really fit in with being the new kid on the block so many times, and it definitely left a mark on his character. During an interview with Robert Ebert, Tom would even confess that in his early life, it lacked stability as he had to live in various cities growing up. Tom would then explain it wouldn't be until 6th grade that he found his resilience, determination, and competitive character, and it manifested themselves after he turned his talents to floor hockey and other athletic teams. By high school, he even became a football linebacker in Hollywood, but after he was caught drinking before a game, his career in football would end. Later on in an interview, Cruise would even expose his family's financial status and how it led him to be bullied when he was younger, when he told Robert that he was mocked by other kids because of his accent, shoes, and pretty much everything about himself. And since the 4th grade, he turned to acting to help him combat with his struggles with bullying. Number 9, his height. For years, Tom Cruise has been using height illusions to trick the public into thinking that he's much taller than he actually is, with the actor standing at 5'7", when he was seen looking a little taller when alongside Kate Middleton on the red carpet in 2022, with the two nearly eye to eye on the red carpet. When you consider the fact that the Princess of Wales is 5'9" and was wearing 3-inch stiletto heels, it would have boosted her height to at least 6 feet, which is quite a height difference for the actor, and yet with his tricks he was able to look taller than Kate. So at this point you're probably wondering, how did he do it? And how he looks nearly 4 to 5 inches taller than his scene partners on set or other celebrities in film or in photos. Well, before you start questioning whether wizards are real, well, relax, they aren't, and he's simply just using styling tricks for his grand height illusion by wearing the right clothes and shoes. He's also carefully coordinated his poses with the help of stairs and boxes, and he's tricked the public into thinking that he's much taller than he actually is. But it also helps that he also wears heeled shoes when he's on the red carpet. Alright, teacups. Yeah, I heard you. Apparently you guys don't like being called peaches, so I'm switching things up a bit. So if you like this video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what we might just cover next. Number 8, recruiting. While Tom Cruise has been known to credit much of his success in Hollywood to his Scientology religion, he has stood on this idea that just because he's talking about his religion doesn't mean he's actually trying to recruit other celebrities or people to join it. However, Tom has been a vocal advocate for his controversial religion for quite some time now, and some celebrities like Seth Rogen have even admitted that Tom once tried to convert him to the cause. Seth even once recalled in an interview with Howard Stern that during a meeting with Cruise, Tom went on to say, "If you let me just tell what it's really about, if you let me just give me like 20 minutes to really tell you what it was about, you would say, no effing way." The interview then managed to steer towards a conversation towards movies, as everyone on the set was just feeling a little bit uncomfortable with what was being said about the conversion story, and that would all soon be forgotten. Number 7. Struggles. For the longest time, Tom Cruise tried to keep his personal struggles hidden, but after he finally closed a door on his academic life in 1980, he would finally open up about his academic struggles when he told People magazine, "When I was about 7 years old, I was labeled dyslexic. I tried to concentrate on what I was reading, and I'd get to the end of the page and have very little memory of anything I read. I would go back, it'd be blank, I'd feel anxious, nervous, bored, frustrated, and dumb. I would get angry." This is why throughout school and well into his career, Tom did everything he could to harbor his struggles as a secret. As an inspiring actor, Tom's frustration would lead for his condition to reach a boiling point, as reading scripts and memorizing lines should have been like bread and butter for the actor when it came to his craft, but he found his dyslexia from mastering what he wanted to accomplish. During cold reads, Tom would then talk to the director about his character, and he would try to wing it, but he could only carry on flying by the seat of his pants for so long because, in his own words, the trap door was going to open and that would be it. But then he tried to claim in 1986 that his remedy to his dyslexia was cured because of Scientology and how they taught him to read. Number 6. Katie Holmes. While Tom tried to claim that he was totally blindsided when it came to his split with Katie Holmes, apparently that just wasn't the case, as he even pleaded with the actress to stay with him for a surprise party that he was throwing himself. With the couple fighting over her plan to leave, Katie found herself in a situation that made her plan a daring escape so she could get her daughter away from Tom and his crazy religious views, as she didn't want to see her 6-year-old at the time attending a Scientology-run school. Katie was also so scared that she even had her cell phone switched out, and she even went off the grid to the point not even her closest friends and family could get a hold of her. While Tom was aware Katie was looking into getting a new apartment, he just didn't know why she was doing it, as he didn't actually think she was going to leave him, and when she did, he thought it was just so she could feel safe from the public, but what he didn't know is that she was actually leaving him so she could divorce him and know that her daughter could be safe from his grasp. Later it would be revealed that the couple had a pretty toxic relationship, and after their divorce, he even managed to get a judge to agree that Katie couldn't publicly date anybody for 5 years, so it wouldn't embarrass him. Like, let's talk about some small D energy. Number 5. Smith family ties. With Will Smith pretty much lying low these days, after his career took a serious hit since his infamous incident at the 94th Academy Awards, and with the actor's last movie being The Emancipation, it wasn't really received well by the audience. And he has now turned to his old-time buddy Tom Cruise to help assist him in lifting his career trajectory. But remember how they both tried to claim at one point they actually weren't that close so they could hide the fact that Jada's affiliation with the church wasn't actually real? Well, Tom is doing his best to stay clear of the Smith family, to the point apparently Will has been trying to call him several times a day, but there's been no communication between the two. Considering at one point Will and Tom actually used to be best friends, it seems like Tom is trying to show that the situation has changed now. And while Tom's trying to maintain that he's keeping a safe distance from his former friend in public, we all know that something is in the works behind closed doors, and we should expect to see these two on the screen together sometime soon, as let's not forget, Scientology tends to help out their members that are struggling. So we should see the Smith family affiliation be exposed by the church and Tom very soon. Number 4. Past relationships. For some odd reason, it seems like every time Tom Cruise has gone on to split from one of his girlfriends or wives, he seems to split from them around the time they turn 33 years old, which is honestly pretty strange. And it makes you wonder why all his ex-wives, such as Katie Holmes, Nicole Kidman, and Mimi Rogers' relationships with Tom came to an end when they were all 33 years old. Like, is this just one bizarre coincidence, or just an intriguing conspiracy? And while he's gone on to claim Scientology hasn't actually been behind any of his divorces, it actually makes you question if the actor's lying about that fact, as it isn't exactly a rabbit hole for any insane person that they would want to disappear into. However, it hasn't really stopped people from speculating that the number 33 also has a deep significance in Scientology. Since the age of each of Tom's ex-wives at the time of divorce can't be ignored, if you look at where the first Church of Scientology was founded, it actually lies on a circle of latitude that lies 33 degrees from the Earth's equator, and it's been called the 33rd parallel. But I'll let you decide if this is just a coincidence, but seriously, just connect the dots. Something just doesn't seem right. Number 3, the Brad Pitt feud. When it comes to Tom's feud with Brad Pitt, it may seem like the two just don't like each other. But at the end of the day, Tom is just salty over the fact that one of the best actors in the world finds him pretty annoying to work with. And it's gotten to the point that even when Tom was snubbed for a Golden Globes nomination, he would even go on to blame Brad Pitt for sabotaging his chances. Tom was apparently expected to walk away with the award for Best Actor in 2022. But when he found out he didn't make the list, it totally blew a fuse in his gasket, as he was even in the process of fine-tuning his acceptance speech. And when he found out that Brad was nominated for his role in the movie Babylon, Tom would really show that he was obsessed with beating Brad out. It seems like the feud is really based on Tom's ego, as Brad can't stand that Tom wants everything to be about him, and Tom's really just upset that nothing can really be about him when Brad's still in the picture. Number 2, fake manic episodes. So back in 2005, we all watched Tom Cruise have his way over the top manic episode when he shocked everyone during an interview with Oprah. While the actor was talking to Oprah about his new relationship with Katie Holmes, he would eventually marry a year later, Tom made his excitement clear throughout the interview by getting up and doing victory poses. At one point, he even turned into a complete maniac and jumped on the couch in the middle of the conversation right next to Oprah. While the moment seemed slightly over the top at the time, it's clear Tom knew what he was doing and the audience loved the move. After viewers inspected the clip later on, they would all come to know that Tom was just faking this manic episode so he could draw more eyes to his relationship with Katie, and his perception by the public would be changed forever. And coming in number 1 today, we have Not Scared. So we all know Tom has done some pretty insane stunts while on some pretty big movie sets. And while actors usually aren't required to do their own sets, it seems like Tom just has a thing for doing some of the world's most craziest stunts. And while he's tried to say that it doesn't scare him, back in 2015 he would admit while he does like doing his own stunts, he did fear for his life when he had to hang off a flying plane 8 times while shooting a scene for the Mission Impossible film. When the star was asked about his experience, he would say, "I was actually scared. As always, I will do everything I can to entertain an audience and put as many people into your theaters. I'm an aerobatic pilot. I've always wanted to do that. I was in a harness on my side. That was kind of loose, so you could see the vibration of my body against the plane." Tom would then go on to claim that he almost got injured when the plane landed despite the crew making efforts to clear the runway of birds and debris. At CinemaCon in Las Vegas, he would even tell the crowd that he definitely paid the price for doing his own stunts when he said, "I got hit by just a little particle. I literally thought it broke my ribs." But seriously, who does their own stunts, especially crazy stunts like that?
Number 10, she was pressured into marriage. While Nicole was excited to be married at first, nowadays she realizes the particularly pressure-filled situation that she was actually in. At the tender age of 23, Nicole Kidman tied the knot with Tom Cruise, who was then 28. Per Entertainment Weekly, they celebrated their nuptials in a cozy little ceremony under the Colorado sun. By today's standards, 23 certainly seems a little bit young to settle down, but love is love, so just let them do what they're gonna do. Kidman has gone on record claiming that the situation was a whirlwind of emotions. She was thrust into the world of stardom and fame alongside her already established husband, Tom Cruise. She also mentions that throughout their first year together, Tom was a very different man. He was attentive and almost sweet, but things eventually grew sour, and after 11 years, Kidman woke up and realized what was going on. Number 9, the wedding ban. One of the kids that these two share, Connor Cruise, was set to be married a few years back and was really hoping that his mama Nikki would be in attendance. However, an insider spilled the juices of Connor Cruise's wedding and said that Top Gun Maverick star Tom Cruise banned Kidman from ever entering the event. As per the reports, the Endless Love actor didn't want Nicole Kidman to attend his son's wedding as she is considered to be suppressive by the Church of Science, let's say. And also, Cruise just doesn't want any association with her in general. Ever since their separation, it's almost as if Tom has just wiped Kidman from his memory. He ignores her at every possible moment. These two have not spoken in over 20 years despite sharing a troubled past and, children, which is famously great for development, just ignoring your kids. Kidman has never actually gone public on the specific reason that Tom avoids her like the plague, but sure, people avoid their exes all the time. But these guys have such a long history together, the idea that there seems to be some specific reason or something more behind the cold shoulder is a mystery only Nicole can solve. Number 8. He's a bad dad. Cruise has 3 children, Isabella and Connor, who were adopted during his marriage to Nicole, and Surrey, who he fathered with Katie Holmes before their split. The first sign of Tom Cruise being a bad dad came in 2015 when he missed his eldest daughter's wedding, despite her being heavily involved in the church, going so far as to have a science-themed wedding. While Bella does keep contact with her father, the same cannot be said for Tom's other kids. According to a June 2016 report from In Touch, Cruise hasn't had contact with Surrey in years. According to insiders, this is simply due to his wanting to distance himself from his ex, Katie, and by association, his daughter. But it's not just Katie's kids that Tom has trouble with. Nicole's kids, Isabella and Connor, were adopted into the family unit and raised as their own, but when Nicole split from Tom, the relationship with them became very difficult. Their father was with a new woman, and soon after, that woman had a child, and then they had a new sibling. So up until they were adults, Tom rarely spoke to his kids, leaving Nicole to be the single mom, which apparently she did a stellar job at, as her kids have had nothing but nice things to say about this woman. Number 7. She was wired by Tom. Now, while Nicole has never actually confirmed that this is in fact the truth, a documentary centering around his scientific beliefs released info on Science and Hollywood, claiming that Tom had wiretapped Nicole Kidman's phone. According to former members of the church, Kidman was a target due to her father being a psychologist, something that they didn't believe was a real profession, making him an enemy in their eyes. During his marriage to Nicole, he actually started distancing himself from the group and their activities, particularly when he was filming Eyes Wide Shut in England. In an effort to bring Cruise back into the fold, the church made the effort to undermine his relationship and, at Cruise's request, allegedly hired a private investigator to tap Kidman's phone. The church also worked to turn the couple's son and daughter against Kidman, convincing them that she was a suppressive person. That of course did not work. In fact, the opposite effect happened. Her kids got closer to her and she started to realize how frickin' insane Tom is. Now, Kidman has never actually confirmed if this is real or not, but if Tom Cruise wiretapped your phone, would you go around telling people about it? Yes, that is a great story. Number 6. Won't talk about Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut was the first collaboration between the couple, which was a dramatic thriller from 1999. Tom plays a Manhattan doctor who embarks on a bizarre night-long odyssey after his wife's admission of unfulfilled longing. The film itself received pretty solid reviews, but the actual shoot was anything but solid. So liquid then. Stanley Kubrick directed this flick, the man behind the live-action adaptation of The Shining by Stephen King. Kubrick had some pretty odd requests for his actors though during their time on set. Kidman has opened up over the years about her struggles. Kubrick made it so that Nicole and Tom could not be with each other after shooting, to help maintain the air of psychological and physical alienation. This move was made as a creative effort, but many speculate that Kidman actually may have spoken to Kubrick to request this stipulation. According to the writer of the shoot, Tom was not very nice to Nicole, but we'll get into that one in a minute. The most shocking of rules was that Kubrick wanted to film all of Nicole's love-making scenes in a 6-day span. Her partner in these scenes, of course, was not Tom Cruise. In fact, it was a man acting as her fantasy character in the flick. Kidman has mentioned that Tom was not only forbidden from attending those 6 days, but that he was absolutely fuming from the situation. I'm not sure why it would have been better for him to be there, but I don't know what goes on through Tom's head. Number 5. He's a control freak. Tom is no stranger to an on-set freakout or two, but he's also made a name for himself as a bit of a control freak. Both on set and in his personal relationships, Tom feels the need to be in charge of every little thing at any given moment. An insider told Radar Online that Tom was not good at keeping a relationship, as many women found him to be too intense. To him, any partner is an extension of himself and his brand. So he's not only intense, but he's a micromanager as well. So much so that at times, Cruise has even been known to control what his partners are allowed to wear when they're in public. This made many love interests feel like members of his staff, and rightfully so. Kidman recounts Tom being a strict strict, almost warden-like figure in her life, controlling every little aspect of what she did and said. This created a very toxic relationship between these two, which was a big part of why they split up in 2001. Number 4, he attempts to get her on his side. Now, devoting one's life to a faith created by a science fiction writer is all well and good, but trying to talk your fellow celebrities into doing the same thing, that's pretty annoying. Especially when you're married to one. I'm sure someone out there is still trying to get signatures for their Church of Lovecraft petition. It's in the link below. Sign it, please. I want it. Nicole told the Daily Mail that Cruise had an unhealthy obsession with soccer superstar David Beckham and viewed him as the ideal candidate for conversion. Sadly for Tom, that never actually happened, but it wasn't for a lack of trying though. According to Nicole, in an attempt to lure David into the Science World headquarters, Cruise ordered Sea Org, which is the short form for Science Folk Organization members, to create a full-size soccer stadium. That's right, he built a stadium like the old nerdy guy in Benchwarmers, and guess what? Beckham did not come. He said he would come and check it out, but Dave and his wife ditched the event and chose to ghost protocol his butt. And of course this decision was made after he tried to get Nicole involved several times, but remember, she's a difficult person according to the church. Number 3, bad husband. Tom's love life has been a part of the media circus for a very large portion of his career. His first marriage to actress Mimi Rogers only lasted 3 years before they split and Tom moved on to Nicole Kidman. Nicole and Tom got married in 1990 and they were actually together for quite some time, spending 11 years together before ultimately calling it quits in 2001. But of course his most memorable and public relationship was with Katie Holmes. Now thanks to Tom being an absolute menace, his divorces always seemed to go public, with him popping up in the media one way or another. Nicole did not appreciate having her name dragged through the mud and hated having to answer questions from journalists, claiming that Tom was actually enjoying the publicity while she was just suffering silently. Number 2. The director noticed no tension. The Oscar-winning screenwriter of the 1999 drama Eyes Wide Shut spoke to several news outlets and claimed that the leading man Tom Cruise was an egocentric control freak while casting extreme doubt on the passion between the actor and his then-wife Nicole Kidman. According to Frederick Raphael, who also functioned as a script supervisor on set, he claimed that the shoot was extremely difficult for the crew. Whatever Tom wanted needed to be done, as according to Tom, he was paying everyone, so if he says jump, you say how high. He also accused Tom of being particularly mean to Nicole Kidman off camera, claiming that he would often judge her performances silently to the side in between takes. That is just the tip of the accusation iceberg though. Nicole has actually been fairly shy when it comes to speaking about this project, but we already talked about that. It turns out it may be because the on-set drama was just too much for her to handle. Tom had apparently hired a team of personal assistants who were always at his side every second of every day. At his beck and call 24/7, the assistants always just looked exhausted and in need of a Red Bull. But his treatment of Kidman was very revealing. Tom was secretly an angry, controlling little man who couldn't even enjoy the fact that he was working with his wife. Or you know that his wife was Nicole Kidman. And at number 1, her jaw literally dropped. Nicole's description of her first meeting with Tom is something like a fairy tale. In 1989, Nicole Kidman was an up-and-coming 22-year-old who just scored her big break with the thriller Dead Calm. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise was a 27-year-old seasoned A-lister hot off of the success of Oliver Stone's anti-war film Born on the 4th of July. Cruise saw Kidman in her breakthrough role and was intent on meeting her. Per Vanity Fair, the Aussie actor was in the midst of a press junket in Tokyo when she got a call from the superstar's team. She thought, wow, this is America! Tom Cruise wants to meet me, whoa! She subsequently auditioned for a role alongside Cruise in Days of Thunder. Per the Los Angeles Times, Kidman never thought that she would get married, largely due to the influence of her feminist mother. But when she set eyes on Cruise during her audition, she was smitten. Tom pulled up in a Porsche in true Tom Cruise fashion, and when he got out of the car, Nicole recounts her jaw just dropping down. But there was a problem. Cruise was still married to his first wife and fellow actor Mimi Rogers. The couple were divorced the following year and thus began a Hollywood romance for the ages. However, Nicole's not shy when it comes to her thoughts on that first split. Sure, she was the one who he chose, but Tom divorced a woman to be with her, and he was also seeing her while he was still married, which is not a great look for Tom. Nicole has been torn about her feelings on being the other woman, but she has gone on record claiming that the situation left her feeling anxious 24/7. It wasn't until after a full year that she was comfortable with Tom, but he was still being a jerky turkey, so that victory was very short-lived.
Alright, number 10, The Lobbyist. It's no secret that Tom Cruise thought his latest movie, maybe wasn't going to be as successful as he wanted it to be. Now, we're not exactly sure what his box office goals were, numbers-wise, but we're getting pretty niche here with the 7th movie in a franchise. First came out in 1996. Listen, Tom, you are not Star Wars. We can't keep doing this. He definitely didn't stray away because Cruise lobbied top Hollywood executives over a phone call saying he really wanted to promote his film despite all the strikes going on with actors, writers, and stunt doubles. And I think there might be some greater issues at hand here. I haven't really been seeing much promo for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 anyway, so maybe things will be different in 2024 when Part 2 comes out. And yes, it will be the 8th Mission Impossible, and yes, it's said to be the last one, but I have a feeling Mr. Cruise won't be able to let go of the franchise. That just, keeps him living in luxury. Up at number 9 is Short-Tempered. Now remember that shaky video footage of Tom Cruise that leaked, he was losing it on set. It was the peak of the pandemic and We Are the Gold Standard was born. In a rant of fury, Cruise noticed some of the crew were not following the rules. They were standing a little too close together, so instead of a normal conversation, he began shouting and swearing at a group of people in the video. You can kind of hear him say, "If I see you do it again, you're effing done." And the rest of his sentences plagued with many more F-bombs, and he just kind of sounded like he was disciplining a bunch of high schoolers and not adults. He continued with, "We are the gold standard." Like, what does that even mean? Because those working conditions did not look gold standard at all. Alright, at number 8 we have Talk Show Antics. Ah yes, the moment that will follow Tom Cruise to the grave. He probably regrets it, but it certainly made the world question the sanity of the famous actor. It was 2005 and Cruise had just gotten engaged to now ex-wife Katie Holmes, a fellow actor, and it's great to talk about loved ones, on shows to whoever, but it was Cruise's physical behavior that would lead to Oprah calling him her worst guest ever. Now back then Cruise, he still had female fans because his antics, that was just starting to come to the surface. The strangest thing about this interview though that made history was just how much contact there was, physically between Oprah and Cruise. I mean, it looked like they could have been a couple. Cruise had been constantly, reaching over to touch or wrestle the host, and I don't know. He then began jumping up and down on the couch and just acting very erratic, something we'd never seen him do before. Overall, it was an odd display that was, a whirlwind act, because we know, of course, Tom and Katie were never meant to be when they separated after 7 years together. Number 7, the micromanaging lover. Tom Cruise was said to be a much more controlling romantic partner than we thought, but it really explains why Katie Holmes felt like she had to save her daughter Suri from him. But the story goes that Cruise was very controlling of his girlfriends and wives, and it was the very thing that would make them try and, leave the relationship. When he was with Katie, he controlled when she could see her family and exactly what she was doing pretty much at all times. He was said to monitor her around the clock, and she wasn't really the first. Now, his other ex-wife, Nicole, he did leave her, but Nicole Kidman had suffered, a similar fate. She wasn't allowed to wear high heels when she was with him on the red carpet and whatnot because he didn't like that Kidman was taller than him. She expressed her joy of being able to, wear what she wanted after the divorce, and of course looked thrilled in the photos of her coming out of finalizing the divorce. Next is number 6, the invisible parent. Tom Cruise is nowhere near being as involved with his kids as their mothers, which, some might say is expected of a father, but the reason he hasn't seen his daughter Suri in more than a decade is pretty terrifying. Now, if you know anything about the religious cult Cruise is involved in, well, you might know about all the terrible things they've experienced, such as a high number of people taking their own lives and the massive mistreatment of both men and women, but especially women. And I'm sure Suri's mother, Katie Holmes, caught on to this, a little too late, but just in time to create a new normal life for her daughter. Oh, and I also had no idea Tom had actually adopted a son and daughter with Nicole Kidman because he never talks about them. Interesting. And moving along to number 5, Bryce divorced. Yes, the courageous actor has tied the knot with 3 separate women and has been in casual dating scenes since his most recent divorce, which was to Miss Holmes. His first wife, Mimi Rogers, was actually the one that got him into the religion that he practices today and has landed him in some hot water. Now, there's of course nothing wrong with getting divorced, but if you never learn your lesson and keep ruining people's lives with your rigid beliefs, well, that's another story. While he was
was married to Rogers in 1990, he explained one day, suddenly, that he wanted to become a celibate monk. He, of course, never ended up doing this, but hey, it was a pretty good excuse to make your wife want to leave you. Let's move on to number 4, no female fans. So back in the day when he starred in the original Top Gun and, a few years later, War of the Worlds, Cruise still had many fans who were women and just, adored him. But when he started going against famous women who, they also adored, well, things got a little messy. For one, Cruise came for actress and model Brooke Shields for using antidepressants. He said it was irresponsible, which is quite the opposite of the truth. And in an interview, he claimed to know the history of psychology to back up his point, and, he then later had to apologize for his hurtful words because he realized, people were offended. He also acted rude and arrogant towards the women sailors that helped with the production of Top Gun Maverick. He then forced top-ranking army officers to, come out and say that these women simply misinterpreted instructions. Yeah. For sure. Up next is number 3, the Paramount Brawl. In 2006, Paramount, the studios responsible for Cruise's Mission Impossible movies, had announced they would be fully cutting ties with the actor based on his behavior outside of the movie set. They said he was basically taking his and the company's positive reputation away by acting crazy on Oprah and expressing some pretty extreme views. So Paramount came out with a statement saying, quote, "His recent conduct has not been acceptable to Paramount. He had never behaved like this before. He really went over the top." Well, the truth was, he was losing them lots of money, and his popularity rating went down by 40% just from 2005 to 2006 alone. Now, would you have sided with Cruise or Paramount? And at number 2, we have Too Much Power. You've heard of some of the highest paid actors in recent years, and Cruise has been one of them, but many have been raising the suspicion that the actor is being overpaid and given too much power in certain circumstances. And yes, Cruise has gotten away with a lot of crazy things. In 2022, Cruise was making more than Will Smith, Leonardo DiCaprio, Dwayne Johnson, and all of his fellow male Hollywood megastars. But many began to question the need for the $100 million in 1 year and an estimated $1 billion in revenue over his entire career. Now, unfortunately, he's actually put a lot of this money into the infamous church he's a part of, $25 million to be exact, and he's not as keen on giving to the less fortunate, with charitable donations tallying up to about $5,000 per donation. And at number 1 is converting the Beckhams. Tom Cruise once attempted to convert the Beckham family parents, David and Victoria, to his high-profit and controversial religion. Victoria and David Beckham are royals in the sports and fashion industries, but they were almost religious moguls in the world of the ultra-rich when Cruise made an attempt to lure them to the dark side. In 2007, it was common to see the famous couple out and about with Tom Cruise. Apparently, Cruise wanted David in the club so bad, he had a soccer field built on the premises of headquarters to woo Beckham into, joining him, but he still denied the offer. Yikes.